The burden on the vice president is to prove to the American people that she's a serious person. Margaret Thatcher didn't giggle. Golda Meir didn't giggle. When you look at the polls, fair or not, many Americans, and again, this may not be fair, but I'm just telling you what the polls show. Many Americans think that the vice president is a little bit of a ding-dong, that she's not serious.
Well, this ding-dong, Senator, has risen in the polls.
Okay, so I hate the attacks against Kamala Harris, deeply rooted in misogyny and racism, which we'll get to. I love that Neil Cavuto delivers the first of what will become many slights to Senator John Kennedy. They're like, yeah, well, she's doing really well. You're trying to slight her, but she's doing so well. And can we just briefly mention that Senator John Kennedy, were he to resign from the Senate and commit himself to going back to school, studying long and hard, burning the candle at both ends, just sucking up information, using AI, just cram it in there, he might someday aspire to ding-dong intellectual status. But he has a long road before he even gets to that. For him to be insulting the intelligence of people like Kamala Harris, when he is doing a 24/7 impression of Foghorn Leghorn, is truly ridiculous. That's right-wing comedy for you.
Yeah,
I say,
boy, now listen to me, boy. So you say you want to catch a chicken. That's all you think of when you listen to that.
100%. That's what you think of. Okay, well, we're gonna get to more mockery of him, but first, Neil Cavuto is gonna push back.
I'm wondering if the strategy to focus on her laugh or the former president calling her nasty and crazy really promotes that push to show she's not up to the job. Does it look petty? Does it say to judge her on this level looks like a strategy that could backfire on Republicans? By all means, get her on the issues that matter, like you've talked about abortion, to clarify what this Supreme Court push might be about. But to focus on this other stuff just looks dumb.
Well, what I was going to say, Neil, if I could finish my thought, when you look at the polls, fair or not, what the polls, the crosstabs show is that those Americans who have an opinion of the vice president think that, number one, she's a bit of a ding-dong, and number two, that she is a member of the loon wing of the Democratic Party.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
Okay, so he's referencing all sorts of things there. I would correct the premise of his response to Neil Cavuto there in saying that you cannot finish a thought until you've had a thought. And nothing that you've said qualifies as an actual thought, John Kennedy. And I don't just mean this interview, I mean going back many years. We're gonna go to one last response from Neil Cavuto and then get into it. When he's like, yeah, you can keep calling her a ding-dong, but she's rapidly rising in the polls. Take a look.
Then what do you think the polls that shows that she's running even with Donald Trump, regardless of what either you or I think?
Well, the polls that I have seen, the most recent polls, you can't just look at the top lines, Neil. You've got to look at the crosstabs. And if you look at the crosstabs and really drill down and see what people think, let me say it again. The polling that I've seen shows that many Americans think that the vice president is not a serious person.
I'm just telling you what the polls are showing right now. Now, if you think they're short line, they're not going to last, and you're okay with this approach of talking about her laugh and nasty and disrespectful and all this stuff that Donald Trump has said, you don't think part of that is going to kill you at the polls?
I'm telling you what I think the American people think right now, based on the polling that I've seen.
Okay, John, I'm sorry, John, real quickly. Someone needs to take that and again, do the Foghorn Leghorn, Neil Cavuto. Neil Cavuto becomes the chicken hawk, and John Kennedy is Foghorn Leghorn. He says, I say, boy, now you got to look at the cross. You got to look at the cross. And Neil Cavuto goes, I'm a reporter. I'm a chicken hawk. It's just so silly. The attacks are so silly. The fact that that he's giving examples of serious female leaders, and all he can think of is Margaret Thatcher and Golda Meir. Like, how far back is this guy going? Is he like, she's no Cleopatra, Neil? I'll tell you that right now. Like, how old and out of touch are you with reality, dude? That this is your reference. These are your references. This is your line of attack. You got to keep looking at the cross polls. What are you talking about? You dumb, stupid, backwards, just waste of a human being. I mean, and by the way, he's another reason. Like these, when I see people like him, I go, there needs to be. He looks like ancient, so I don't know how old he is, but there should be an age limit for being in the Senate, and there should definitely be some sort of like test, IQ test, or knowledge test or something, because the guy's just really dumb.
Yeah, he's naturally dumb, and he's also playing dumb. He's dumb on top of dumb. I don't like either level of it.